Brandon Aiyuk. I'm not entertaining it. No. Kenny, he's better than anything we had. Just because he's better than anything we had doesn't make it's going to be any better. Jerry Jeudy was better than anything we had. And now what are you guys all saying about Jerry Jeudy each and every Monday morning? No. Good luck to him wherever he ends up. He ain't going to end up in San Francisco. Was it John Lynch said he played his last down for the 49ers?
Well, the whole thing was bizarre.
I wish you very well in your future endeavors. Go out in the draft and get somebody or get somebody else.
The whole thing was bizarre because they said they were confused. Now, we got their side of the story, but Shanahan and Lynch had said all year they've been totally confused by the story. And then the report came out that they were going to void a lot of his guarantees. And so if this was just to get a new contract, he got his new contract. But if you're going to void a lot of the money, and if San Francisco could get away doing that, then this was a catastrophic mistake. This was like a Le'Veon Bell situation.
Yeah, it was. And I'm just like, we can... it's better to argue over him than it is over the bread heels in the dumpster of the bottom of the barrel quarterbacks that ain't going to make the situation any better. Okay, fine. I've said before, and I've been wrong before, just give me the talent. If I trusted you, I'd say just give me the talent. If I trusted you as an organization, if you were the Brady Patriots, just go get me the talent. We'll figure it out. Go get me the talent. Need the talent, don't have it, go get it. Done it before, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I maybe it'll change if Jim Schwartz becomes head coach, or maybe Grant Udinski, maybe that'll change a little bit. It's especially at the wide receiver position. Like, we had a good year out of Jadeveon Clowney, then that crashed and burned. And there's been other guys that have had a modicum of success here. But I remember, like, when Keith bothered me, God, he got me so mad when he was texting us like, I can't believe you guys aren't talking about Deontay Johnson. I go, you got to be kidding me. I mean, bleeping kidding me. You want me to waste the audience's time with Deontay Johnson? And I got so mad. Remember, we came back from break and I just started going nuts about it, which is exactly what he wanted. But I'm going, that's not some sort of a savior that's going to make anything better. Now, Brandon Aiyuk, now Deontay Johnson was a leading wide receiver in this league at one point. Brandon Aiyuk was also a leading wide receiver in this league at one point. This ain't the place for him. And if he has an opportunity to go somewhere else, he's going to go somewhere else. So I'll talk about him to pass the time, but it's almost the same thing as Sean McDermott to me, John Harbaugh to me. If we had this, that, and the other, yeah, it'd be nice, but we don't have the other, so we ain't going to get him. Simple? Good enough?
I kind of braced for that. I think you are in agreement. We did not mislead our listeners about any of that.
You're just not the place to fix wide receivers.
Yeah. No, not at all. Jerry Jeudy, fine. They took one stab at it. I questioned it at the time. But he clearly, Jeudy had the talent. It's not like anybody's sitting there going, I have no idea how this guy got drafted this high. But the problem is, every year, I heard Dane Brugler talking about the receivers again. He's like, originally I only had a few receivers. There's no Jamar Chase or anything like that in this draft. But he goes, originally I'm like, there's not that many receivers who I think could be, real legitimate threats. And then he said, and then I watched more, and then I realized every year coming out of college, there are 10 guys that can play.
Yeah.
And it's just we've not been able to identify and take them. And they don't always have to be in the first round.
Nope.
But
you want to bring in Jalen Tyson's brother out of Arizona State? Yep. You go right on ahead and bring in Jalen Tyson's brother out of Arizona State. I would like to go. I don't mean to do this early. I'd like to take a shot at Spencer Fano or CeCe Mauanoa with the top pick and do some protection, then get wide receivers. But then again, I know a lot of people love wide receivers, so this is going to become a bitter debate for a lot of folks because people love wide receivers, and you don't trust Andrew Berry to pick him later on, so you're probably going to want, a lot of people are going to want him to go Carnell Tate or somebody.
I know.
At number 6 if he were to be there.
I know, and obviously Carnell Tate had a fantastic year with Ohio State, but like I said, to me, he is nowhere near all those other Ohio State wide receivers that we have gushed over. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, he has the size. There's no disputing that, but it's tough because he had Jeremiah Smith to play with. That doesn't mean he's not going to be good. We've gone over that, but to take him at number 6 overall, that seems early. Especially when we need offensive line.
It does. You always want to go BPA, But I think at that time, I think your best players available are going to be Spencer Fano and is going to be
Caleb Downs,
Cece Malano.
And by the end of it, Sonny Styles, the way that he's moving up the ranks. But I don't think you could justify with our defense this good. I don't think you could justify with the overhaul we need on offense.
Caleb Downs going to be there at 6?
Maybe not.
I was going to say,
you're right.
Like one of those two offensive linemen, which this is where we're at. Not like it used to be a time where you go, okay, we need a left tackle. This is a left tackle. You can plug him in and play him. You assume you're going to be able to plug him in and play him for the next 10 years. And I can already know the arguments that we're having. You have a right tackle in Malanoa, and some people already see him as a guard. The same thing with a couple of other guys. So you got to get ready because I think we're doing the same conversation about offensive linemen as we are about quarterbacks, where you get guys who maybe transfer or you get guys who have changes in coaches. They may have to come out early for whatever reason, and they're just not getting the same type of technique as they used to, and they're not getting the same type of play the way they used to, and they're not huddling up, and they're guessing a lot, and their feet are off because they're guessing a lot. So there's a lot going on with offensive linemen where now we're talking about them the same way we're talking about coaches or quarterbacks going, where are the good quarterbacks? Where are the good offensive linemen? Like Joe Bitonio, like the last of a dying breed where you take a guy in the second round, you plug him, you play him, and he's there for... Joel was able to do it for a long period of time. Now, I know he had some injuries at the beginning of his career, but you plug him, you play him, and they end up being a good guard for you or a good offensive lineman for you for the better part of a decade.
Look, Will Campbell has been pretty good for the Patriots this year, and then you saw when he went up against Will Anderson, he got destroyed.
They put on skates a couple times.
I kind of feel like that's the league now. That doesn't mean that he's not a good left tackle. I feel like every team has a guy that can make any left tackle look silly right now.
It's always going to be you can move faster when you have a bad offensive line, and this gets in a little nitty-gritty. And I have my Glazier Clinic tomorrow online that I could watch my Glazier Clinic. I have my itinerary. Lima has an itinerary for me as well at 9:45. But when you have a rough offensive line, what's the golden rule you talk about? It's always easier to move forward than it is to move backwards. So that's why you like to try to run the ball if you have a rough offensive line. Well, when you get the defensive ends, when you get the edge rushers, when you get to a guy like Will Anderson, when you get to a guy like Myles Garrett, it's obviously much easier to go forward than it is to go backwards. And that's why you got what you had back on Sunday. But when you're throwing picks all over the place on offense, it's not going to really matter for you. We should do a thing where we don't shower until they find a new coach. You down?
I don't really want to do that.
That's a pass for me.
I should starve myself until they find a new coach.
Good knowing you.
92.3 The Fan looking for a winner. Enter the code word ROCK, R-O-C-K, at 923thefan.com before 10 a.m. It's your chance to see or get a pair of lawn tickets to see John Mellencamp, the Dancing Words Tour, the greatest hits. July 21st, Blossom Music Center, part of the Minutemen Workforce Solutions Concert Series. Tickets on sale this Friday, January 23rd at 10 a.m. LiveNation.com. That's LiveNation.com. R-O-C-K is the word. Go see John Mellencamp. Got to get it in by 10 a.m. Good luck to you. Do you want to be comfortable or you want to be excited as a Browns fan? 216-474-0092. Let's call it what it is. And excited, that's a weird term because you could also go, oh boy, but still that's exciting. Nervousness is an excitement. So if you're nervous, Shieldhouse, Yadinsky, you want to be comfortable, you're just tired of possible craziness, Jim Schwartz. What do you want more? Do you want something that's exciting? Something that could possibly be the next great thing? Something that could be the next Sean McVay? Something that could be the next young, incredible coach that can lead you? Or you want a guy who gets your defense going? Do you want a guy that's made your current players love playing on this defense, love playing for this franchise? A tough, hard-nosed guy, been around for a long time, and you know him. He's been here for 3 years in Jim Schwartz. You want to be comfortable? You want to be excited? 216-474-0092. I'll just throw it out to you right now. You go right on ahead.
Isn't that the whole premise behind Let's Make a Deal? Like, hey, here's a state-of-the-art microwave. It'll get the job done. It'll heat up your popcorn.
It's a whole thing, deal or no deal.
But behind the scenes, or whatever's behind door number 3, maybe that's an awesome vacation getaway or a brand new car. It's the microwave. I can always get a microwave. I think that's why a lot of fans probably, if you did a poll right now, I think they'd probably go Grant Udinski, the guy they had never heard of 3 weeks ago.
Well, we did
that's
that.
Probably why.
We did that, and he ran away with it. He absolutely ran away with it. Now, because I see it, and I'm going to be maybe not the right guy to talk to when they finally decide this. I hate to say it, because I got to be pragmatic about it. If they take Jim Schwartz, I think that there's questions that they have to answer on why did it take you 3 or 4 weeks to get to Jim Schwartz when he was already in your building for 3 years? Why do I believe that you believe he's the best candidate for the job when you went out and interviewed all these other guys? Did you really want to go young offensive guy and then you really couldn't get anybody to take the job, and then some of the defensive guys that you wanted really weren't interested? Chris Shula said thanks, but no thanks. Jesse Minter looks like he's going to take the Baltimore Ravens job. Or while there's questions to answer, I could say and look at Jim Schwartz and go, hey, he's a guy we can all kind of get with. He's a guy we can all, I don't know if excited's the word, but if you look in terms of trust, which, boy, that can be a cheap, cheap thrill. If you look in terms of trust, I don't know if there's a coach that Browns fans have trusted more here over the last 6 years, and he's only been here for 3 of them. I don't know if there's... Bill Callahan would be the only other coach that I think fans have trusted more than Jim Schwartz. Right or wrong? Like I think fans trust Jim Schwartz. I think that they might be a little annoyed of the dancing and things like that, even when you're down in football games, but they play hot, and that's a good defense. And I think Jim in charge of the football team, I think it would be pretty practical to go to him, even though that the search has been impractical. But I'm not mad at the coaching search and the way it's gone, because I thought it would probably go this way, and so far you and I have been lockstep on it, and it's gone this way. So I'm not going to be mad, disappointed, whatever it is, when it's gone the way I've wanted it to go. Or, excuse me, the way I thought it would go. I want it to go differently. I would have wanted like a John Harbaugh or someone to want this job and take this job, but I didn't think it was going to happen that way, so I thought it was going to go this way. Can't be that mad.
Here's what I do wonder, and this is where right now Andrew Berry, the approval rating, depending on who you ask, I don't think it's all that high, but part of his job behind the scenes right now is to make sure whoever is the head coach also has what they need to succeed. And what I mean by that is obviously the staff. So, like everybody collectively said the same thing yesterday when Tommy Reese left. Like, good, who cares? Take Bubba Ventrone too. Okay, we would have loved to have Bill Callahan, let's admit that, and he's joining forces with Kevin Stefanski.
Which is another thing that we have to keep an eye on.
But this is also part of what the GM job is balancing, okay, I'm going through all the interviews. We want to make sure we don't slight anybody to where they wouldn't want the job. Mm-hmm. We think that these final candidates all absolutely want the job. I did ask Mary Kay, if you've been following the Haslam Jet, are there some mystery candidates we don't even know about that have been sworn to secrecy and it hasn't even gotten out there? And what does that mean? Have they turned down the Browns? Has it even happened? Like, we don't know. And maybe that's something you find out down the road, and that's what Mary Kay said as well. So managing that situation, you're a general manager. You're not just flailing away going, coach, staff, coordinators. Like, it all has to fit to some extent. And there is a difference. Mm-hmm. When you hire a 30-year-old who's never even called plays, man, the staff is everything.
And I think that we would look at this and go, because you got to be pragmatic about it. And I heard Coach Lance talk about this on Tuesday night, and I think he's 100% right about this, is that we still have to pay attention. Once they hire this coach, we have to pay attention to the personnel that coach is working with. Because you could get to Jim Schwartz. Think about this. They hired Jim Schwartz, and yeah, those questions that I just asked are going to be asked, and they'll have to answer them, and this, that, and the other. But eventually you'll go, well, I know what Jim has done with this defense. Now we got to find the guys that he's going to hire for his offense, and now we have to make looks at this offense. But you would feel a little bit more comfortable because there's a track record there. There is a track record. Now, as a head coach, it didn't end well, but it never ends well in the NFL. It didn't end well for him in Detroit, but that was a long time ago. You're going to try to put a smiling face on this. Let's be honest, we're Browns fans. Or there's a second part to it. You could hire Grant Udinski or Nate Shieldhouse, and then after the introductory press conference, you'll be sitting there during the press conference going, yeah, this is great. And then at the end of it going, okay, now what do we do? Because now Jim's going to go, and we don't know what's going. Jim, I know, is under contract, but he may just decide that he doesn't want to be a part of that anymore. And now you're going, okay, how do I put all these guys together? Because you can have a big hope in a head coach. Guys, we know. And if you don't know, maybe we're about to find out with what's going on in Atlanta. You're still only going to be really as good. You can get 2 or 3 more wins if you got a really good coach. That's the margins. But you really are going to be as good as your roster. And if you can't keep up offensively, you're playing with one arm tied behind your back. And last year, because your special teams sucked so bad, you were playing with 2 arms. You were playing with just your legs. So you can have all the bright ideas you want, but if you can't get the guys to fulfill those ideas, or you actually, God forbid, you hire the wrong person who can't communicate, who can't go, okay, this is a 5-win team, and if we make improvements here and we get this type of play out of these guys and I can get them to figure this out, get them to a point where we can work together and we can get 7 wins out of it, you are looking at disaster. You are looking at disaster. And I think a Browns fan, if they hired Jim Schwartz, would go, okay, I'm comfortable with that. I think that he might have a pretty good chance at doing something like that. And I would go into Jim Schwartz knowing that if we do get back on track, if we do get this thing going again, let's be serious. It's more than likely we're going to be looking for another head coach to see if we can get over the hump again. That's where that probably is going to go. With a new guy, you're thinking, oh, he could be our guy for the next 10 years. That's exciting. With Jim, I think you're already having in the back of your mind, 6-year-old guy, already worked here. Maybe after the balloons get pulled down from the ceiling, you already have it in the back of your mind that eventually you're going to have to take this guy and then eventually find the guy.
But good problem to have if it works out.
Obviously. Nick and a car, you're first up on the Fan. Hello.
Good morning, gentlemen. I think one of the biggest mistakes this search can result in is actually listening or factoring in what the fans will feel or how they will react. And you've mentioned that a couple of times, and I understand where you're coming from. It's like, most fans will be happy with Jim Schwartz. And, hey, listen, if Jim Schwartz is the guy that they need to get things stabilized and in the right direction, that's fine. But I literally hope that it's a 0.0% factor as to why they would choose Jim Schwartz if they choose Jim Schwartz.
I think they would choose. I agree. Well, yes.
It doesn't.
Yes.
It really doesn't. I mean, we're fans, right? And we all have opinions.
You're right. You're right.
We all, for me, it's Shieldhouse. I want Shieldhouse. 35-year-old guy, I know 30, the difference between 5 years, between 35 for Shieldhouse and 30 for Udinski, I actually think is a big deal, not to mention the fact that he's worked for both Matt Campbell and Sean McVay. So if you're looking for Sean McVay, and you got a guy that's working for Sean McVay,
see, I'd rather you say it than me, Nick, because if I say it and I say he worked for Matt Campbell, obviously it's going to come with a grain of salt for a lot of people. No, I think you're right.
Matt Campbell's a wonderful football coach. There's no question about it.
Well, you know that this whole show agrees with that. But I wish I want to disagree with you because the simple thought that fans' thoughts matter to me, and I can't get confused with the thoughts mattering to what should or shouldn't matter in Berea and what should and shouldn't matter to me. Like fans, obviously your thoughts matter to me, but I'm not the one hiring the Browns coach. So you're right. That's a good call, Nick, and thank you very much for the call. That's a good call. He's right. It shouldn't matter. If it did matter, they probably would have moved on from Andrew Berry. So maybe he's already working on it. I mean, if fans' thoughts matter, would they not be looking for a general manager now too? How many people were fighting to keep Andrew? Nobody.
Well, yesterday we had on Ross Tucker on the afternoon show. Mm-hmm. They had Ross on, and he broke it down perfectly.
He had the Bill Walsh breakdown of it, which was great.
Yeah, on why it is that executives get to keep their jobs so much longer, the relationship building that they get to do even during the games that coaches don't get to do. And I laughed. I heard Ross Tucker say that, and I'm like, man, maybe that's what was going on in Indianapolis. Is that Irsay, what was it, his stepdaughter or daughter, whatever it was, that she was on the field instead of sitting up there with executives, because you're going to get a very one-sided take if you're up there with executives.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you think about it, they're taking their private jets to these games. Who's riding on the jet? Andrew Berry ain't riding on the plane with the team. Some owners do ride with the team. Some may do that. But depending on what you have going on your other business, I mean, it is a sports group. You have the Bucks, you have the crew. You may have to be in a place on a Saturday.
Yeah.
You're flying around. Andrew Berry's with him.
Well, and if you're
the general manager,
if you're the owner, if you're Jimmy Haslam, who is your security blanket? Who are you talking to now that, DePodesta's gone? So who else is there to talk to? Who do you have trust in? And Andrew Berry just had the draft that he had. So he can say, look, I finally had first round pick. I finally had, some ammo at the top. And this year, what is it? 5 top 107 picks or whatever?
What sucks is, though, you mentioned the first, because Mason Graham is a solid pick. And I think Mason Graham will be better in year 3. There's Miles plays a position where Miles can jump right in, make an impact. Mason Graham, I think we're seeing this with Tommy Togiai. Somebody made this had this opinion where I think when you're looking at Tommy Togiai, people are wondering, why did he not hit here? He wasn't ready. I mean, defensive linemen tend to get better with age.
There's a curve for different positions.
I think they tend to get better with age. They get smarter. They work their hands better.
We see running backs
more on their offensive lines.
We see running backs, their first and second year are just as good as any year they have in their entire career.
That's why I want Mason.
Certain positions.
Yeah, I wish we would have had more sacks out of Mason just to make the argument easier. But I thought it was just a really good, solid pick. It was a good draft. It's a reason he's here. It was a very, very good draft for him. And I wouldn't trade any of the picks that he's made, frankly. Am I right to say that? I think I am. I wouldn't trade any of the picks that he's made on those ones. But he's going to have to hit another home run again to still be here next year. We could be repeating this entire process all over again.
Just for the sake of argument, what we don't need is Travion Henderson to win like Super Bowl MVP. We don't need that.